Good morning, everyone. My name is Nohelia Hernandez or Miss Hernandez. I am a aspiring first grade bilingual teacher, and today we're going to be learning about living things and non-living things. So before we go ahead and we start with the presentation, I do want you guys to go ahead and close your eyes and put a mental image in your head of what is a living thing and what is a non-living thing. Now, this is going to be important because towards the end of the video, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask you, and I expect for you guys to answer. So let's go ahead and let's start the video. So let's start off with what our objectives for today is, and that is the students identifying and sorting objects as living or non-living things. So let's go ahead and identify as to why a chameleon is a living thing. A chameleon is a living thing because it needs air, needs food or water, and it also moves as well as it reproduces. So let's go ahead and let's talk about why the race car to the right is a non-living thing. The race car to the right is a non-living thing because even though it moves, we have to force it to move, right? It's not something that can move by itself. It has to be forced to be moved. Even though it needs food, like gas, to go, it doesn't make it a living thing. And this is the most important part. Let's go ahead with how do we know if something is living? They need to intake food or water. They need to grow and change. They can move and respond to things around them. So a great example of this could be a dog. They see you eating a very yummy snack. What do? They like to make this noise and kind of get your attention so that way you can give it a little bit of the snack. And finally, it needs to make more of themselves. It can make babies, it can lay eggs, or seeds. Seeds can grow into new plants. So, I want you to think of some examples. Okay, we already mentioned a dog, we mentioned a chameleon, and we mentioned a seed. What else? If you said a cat, a plant, or a tree, or a person, then you are absolutely correct. Now, it's important to figure out what are the aspects of what something that is non-living is. Let's go ahead and get started. They do not eat or drink. They do not grow or change on their own. They do not move by themselves. They can't have babies or make more of themselves. And lastly, they don't need air, sunlight, or shelter. So let's think about some non-living examples. We can think of a water bottle. We can think of a car. We can think of a purse. We can think of a pillow, or we can think about even our pencil. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a word wall practice. And it's going to be kind of like a little quiz. I'm going to give you guys 3 seconds to have an idea of the answer in your head, and we're going to go ahead and have fun. So, what do we think that a fish is? Is it living or non-living? If you said that it's living, then you're correct. Is a cat living or non-living? If you said if it's living, let's figure it out together. Correct. What about a pencil? Do you guys remember what we said that a pencil is? Is it living or non-living? Perfect. Now let's have another challenge. Would you say that grass is living or non-living? Grass is actually living because it needs water, air, and sunlight. With the next one, would you say that a book is living or non-living? A book is actually non-living because even though that the paper comes from trees that are living, it still needs humans to move and flip their pages and even open the book to begin with. Lastly, is a cloud living or non-living? A cloud is actually non-living. It's made up of water drops, not living parts. So remember, water isn't a living thing. Now we're also going to have some tricky examples to kind of see what we have in the back of our heads at the moment. What do you think fire is? Fire is actually non-living. Is a seed living or non-living? Seed is actually living. What about a mushroom? Is it living or non-living? A mushroom is actually living. Okay, guys, so remember whenever I said let's have a mental picture of what we had in our head? What did you guys have in the back of your head? For example, For non-living, I have Larry the lobster here. Even though I grabbed him by the eye, I promise he's perfectly fine because he is non-living. So even though he has a huge smile on his face, it doesn't necessarily mean that he can move, breathe, eat, or none of that good stuff. Larry the lobster is unfortunately non-living. I have these beautiful flowers that we just got today, which is why they're not out of the paper yet, but these beautiful flowers are actually living. I hope that you guys had just as much fun as I did, and I hope that you guys have a great day. Bye.